how to win your next karate championship. So welcome back to the channel. My name is John Gardiner. I'm a former English and British champion. I was on the England national team for over 10 years. I've also coached students to be medalists at high level, so Commonwealth champions and European medalists. So I'm going to give you the tips today to give you the best chances at winning your next karate championship. So the first thing we need to do is to establish where we're competing, under what rules, under which federation, because all federations have their own kind of take on the rules. So it's important to understand the rules we are competing under. They should all have their rules in a downloadable kind of form online somewhere. So you should be able to read through those rules and fully understand the process of the competition, what you need to do in order to win. And that is for both kata and for kumite, because the rules can be different in various different groups. You know, the scoring techniques in one group may not be the scoring techniques in another. And the way scores are determined can be different as well. So make sure you understand the rules that you are competing under. You can't win if you don't know how to win. Even things as simple as the karate gi, you know, the dimensions of the karate gi, the length of the sleeves and the length of the belt and all these kind of things should be detailed in those rules. Because I've seen many times people become or be disqualified due to silly kind of mistakes that they could have avoided by doing their research beforehand. Obviously, it's up to the coach to kind of provide that information for the most part, but you can do it yourself as well so that you are fully prepared and not getting into these positions where you're being disqualified. You've traveled maybe a long distance and prepared for a competition only to be kicked out of it at the start because you've not kind of met the rules. So the next thing, of course, related to the rules is what equipment do you need? You know, what kind of protection do you need for kumite? Again, different federations will use different types of protection and different colors as well. For example, the WKF would use red and blue protectors to differentiate between opponents or competitors. Other federations will use a white and a red, or some will use, you know, something different, a different way of marking who is who on the mat. So make sure you have the right equipment, you know, full sets of equipment. Again, mentioned WKF, you need to have the red and blue, you need to have both sides, both colors, and the full set of everything. Gum shields, of course, all this kind of stuff. Again, it should be in the rules. So you check that out, make sure you are fully prepared with all that stuff before we even get into anything else, because if you're going to be disqualified at the start, the rest of this video doesn't matter. So make sure you are fully prepared and compliant with the rules. And on the subject of having the right gear, I've now partnered up with Art Martial Clothing, who are a martial arts inspired lifestyle brand. They've got loads of nice martial arts designs. This is their fundamentals hoodie. So that's quite a basic design, but really nice stuff for training. I'm going to put a link to their website in the description of this video, along with a discount code to get you 20% off your first order. So the next thing, of course, is to train for the competition, right? So we have to, first of all, understand the rules, like we said, and then train to those rules in order to be competitive. Whether it's kata or kumite, we have to train in a way that is going to best prepare us for those events. The kumite then, it's no good training in one way when the scoring system doesn't match that. So for the purposes of winning championships, we have to train to the rules. And some people may say that's kind of, you know, not real karate or whatever, but if you want to win medals, you have to do what you have to do to win medals. You know, the game is the game. You have to play the game. Personally, I like to mix the two. I've got a good traditional background, and I've also done a lot of competing as well. So it can be done. It can be combined. But when you're doing competition training, make sure that the competition training is purely aimed at winning a medal. Okay, so we have to train in the correct way. The training aspect, of course, is dealt with in your dojo, but also at home. Winners don't become champions from simply going to the dojo one time a week. You know, they have to maybe attend the dojo a few times a week to get their coaching and their feedback, but also they are practicing away from the dojo, so they're getting their training at home as well. Okay, you're never going to be a champion if you are doing only 1 hour a week. You have to be putting in the work to sort of go that extra level and be the winner of the competition. You know, because you get there and there's 30 other people that you're competing against, you've got to be the one that's done most or done more than the others. You know, you're not going to beat somebody who's doing 7 days a week when you're only doing 1 hour a week. So make sure physically you are prepared for the competition as well. And that doesn't mean to cram it in at the last minute. You know, you can't pack in a year's worth of training into 2 or 3 weeks. The person who's done the year consistently of training hard is going to be way ahead because they're developing constantly through that whole year at a steady rate. Cramming 2 weeks of training in just before the competition is not going to do the job. It's going to fatigue you probably. And the things you're trying to implement into your training are not going to become second nature. They're not going to be muscle memory, and they're going to go out the window on the day once nerves and adrenaline kicks in. So consistently training over a longer period of time is going to prepare you best for the competition. So on that note, again, in addition to technique training and kind of specific competition training, we have to do physical training as well, because at the competitive level, you have to be an athlete as well. So we have to be doing our strength training, our mobility training, and our speed and cardio type work in order to be at the best physical condition when we get to that competition. I've got videos on this channel covering strength training and mobility training, so you can check those out if you want to add those to your training as well. The next thing to do, again, is in the line of research. Make sure you understand what the competition looks and feels like. So you can easily now look on YouTube and sort of see what the atmosphere is going to be like a little bit. Even better though, if you can attend the competition beforehand, so you can kind of soak in the atmosphere and see how things work, because it can be a little bit hectic on the day. Different categories are being called up and different areas are running at the same time. So it's best to kind of go there, experience the environment, see what it feels like, take it in, see how things work. And then the next time you go to compete, you're going to have a better understanding and be a little bit more comfortable in that environment. Another way is if people at your dojo have competed and have experience, they can also share their information with you. So you can ask them questions, what happens when I go to the competition? What's the first thing I do? What's the next thing that I do after that? What do I need to take with me, and how do I kind of conduct myself in competition? It's all valuable stuff that can help to make you feel a little bit more at ease on your first event or in your next event. Again, if you're watching stuff on YouTube, make sure it's from the federation that you are competing in, because it's no good watching something completely different and then expecting something else and then get there and it kind of throws you off a little bit. So again, the research is important. Make sure you know what you're looking at, check it out, absorb it a little bit, see how things work, see what scores, what doesn't score, and be better prepared mentally for that. Ultimately, it is about enjoying yourself. Have fun, enjoy the competition experience, and don't put so much pressure on yourself, especially if it's the first time. Maybe if you're a seasoned competitor, the pressure is a little bit different. But if you're going for your first time, just go and enjoy the situation. Try things out, have fun with it. If you enjoy it, then you go back next time, do some more, and then start pushing up through the ranks. But just make sure that it is an enjoyable situation rather than too stressful. And remember that no piece of advice is going to be better than just training. Train, be prepared, make sure you are just better. Your level of karate is higher. Increase your karate level and your chances in competition are going to greatly improve, of course. If you've got any other tips that you find useful for when you compete, or that you give to your students when they are competing, drop them in the comments of this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done already. Share this with your teammates, and I'll see you in the next video.